right behind me. The House will come to order. This morning's pledge will be given by Lacey Nachtrieb, Rylan Nachtrieb, Taryn Nachtrieb, and Mason Vogel. And they are nephews of Van Winkle? Is that true? And folks, the young people leading us in the pledge today are the nieces and nephews of Representative Van Winkle. Welcome, kids.
Will you please join us in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah. You can jump in this photo, though, if you want to. That's all right. Please call the roll.
Representatives Arndt, Baker J, Baker K, Beckman, Benavides, Bridges, Buck, Buckner, Carver, Catlin, Coleman, Covarrubias, Danielson, Escar, Everett, Exum, Foote, Representative Foote.
Excused. Oh, he's in the back.
Oh, there it is. Garnett, Janal, Gray,
Are you up?
Hamner, Hanson, Harrod, Representative Harrod,
Excused.
Putin, Humphrey, Jackson, Kennedy, Kraft Tharp, Landgraf, Lawrence, Representative Lawrence,
Excused.
oh, there she is. Representative Lawrence is present. Lebsock, Lee, Lee,
Excused.
Leonard. Representative Lee is present. Leonard. Oh, thank you. Lewis. Liston. Lontine. Lundeen. Lundeen. McKean.
Excused.
McLaughlin. Melton. Michelson Janae. Michelson Janae. Mitch Bush. Navarro. Neville. Nordberg. Pabon. Pedersen. Rankin. Ransom. Rosenthal. Sane. Salazar. Sias. Singer. Thurlow. Valdez. Van Winkle. Weissman. Willett. Williams. Wilson. Morning. Winter. Winter. Wist. Representative Wist.
Excused.
Young. Madam Speaker.
Here. With 62 present and 3 excused, we have a quorum. Representative McLaughlin and Representative Catlin.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
Today I have with me Representative Catlin, who was also skipped in the lineup, so he can check it off his list. As you know, Representative Catlin is in the district next to mine, so here's a poem for him. Over the aisle and through the Dems to Catlin's desk I go, to welcome him to the well before you, to speak to the crowd as a whole. Across the aisle and up to the well, he's here to ask the clerk to dispense and approve with this journal du jour and end our week with this great perk.
I wanted to say something this morning that has got me through a lot of different things. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things that I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I ask you to vote yes this morning.
Thank you, Representative Catlin. It is a wonderful prayer. Representative McLaughlin.
Madam Speaker, I move that the reading of the Journal of Thursday, April 20th, 2017 be dispensed with and approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
All right, members, you have heard the motion, or at least 10 of you who are listening have heard the motion. All of those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Those opposed, signify by saying no. The motion passes. Announcements and introductions. Representative Escar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, today is Colorado HIV Advocacy Day, and we have a great group of people who are here today to chat with you. So you may get a card to go and chat with some of your constituents. Colorado has set the bar so high for HIV prevention, care, and advocacy, and I'd love for us to continue that type of work here at the Capitol. We have improved access to medical care in Colorado, and we have ongoing funding support for Colorado programs in HIV prevention and HIV treatment. So I just wanted to say thank you to CORA, the Colorado organizations responding to AIDS, for being here today, and thank you all for coming to the Capitol.
Assistant Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, I have an introduction today.
Hold on 1 second. Members, we have announcements and introductions. I know there's a lot going on, but let's make sure we're listening. Assistant Majority Leader Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and thank you, members. I just wanted to recognize my dad is in the House. District Attorney Stan Garnett's in the back. For a somber occasion, nonetheless, but I wanted to recognize him and appreciate him being here.
Welcome to the chamber. You have raised an incredible son and incredible leader for our state. With that, announcements and introductions, Representative Foote.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have a tribute. Mr. Randall.
The House of Representatives convened in the 71st General Assembly hereby extends sincere commendations to Sergeant Clinton Rushing of the Colorado State Patrol. For 17 years, Sergeant Clinton Rushing has served admirably with the Colorado State Patrol. In 2015, Sergeant Rushing was severely injured in the line of duty. After a daunting recovery, he has shown amazing resilience and has since been able to return to the road, keeping our citizens safe once again. He has also worked tirelessly, not only protecting the citizens of Colorado, but also as a field training officer for our state patrol, mentoring recruit troopers. He is also heavily involved in the Honor Flight program, helping to escort World War II veterans to the memorials in Washington, D.C. The members of the Colorado House of Representatives express profound gratitude to Sergeant Rushing for his bravery and service to the state of Colorado and wish him the very best during his continued recovery. On request of Representative Mike Foote, given this 21st day of April, 2017, State Capitol in Denver.
Representative Foote.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, please be seated. I'll be very brief on this. And I just wanted to say thank you for listening to this tribute. This is a little bit of a foreshadowing from what you're going to hear later today with a resolution. Sergeant Rushing was injured very badly in the line of duty in Boulder County due to the fact that there was somebody that decided to be thought it would be a good idea to try to flee the police. And he was working a separate accident scene just west of the county line between Weld County and Boulder County, northeast of Longmont. And he was injured during the course of that incident very badly. He's recovered, though. He's back to work, and he's been promoted since then to sergeant. He's been doing a lot of really great work for our state and for our community. So wanted to give him this tribute for everything that he's been through and everything he continues to do for the state. And as I said, you're going to hear a little more details about what happened when we go through the resolution later on this morning, but I did want to recognize him through the tribute. And while I'm just speaking here, I wanted to also recognize and let you know that he is here. He's standing in the back corner over here. Sergeant Rushing is here with his wife, Gail, and their 2 kids, and also I think Gail's parents as well. So please stand up, Mr. and Mrs. Rushing. And again, I think it's just good for us to recognize law enforcement, how they put themselves in the line of danger for all of us here every day, and Sergeant Rushing is one of them. There's a lot of folks from CSP is here as well. So if you get a chance after we're done here or in the middle of our proceedings, please stop by and talk to law enforcement, Sergeant Rushing and others, and let them know that you really appreciate their work. So thank you very much, members, and thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Foote. Representative Herod. You look good for being up until 3 a.m. working here. All the Judiciary Committee, thank you for your hard work last night and into the early morning.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yeah, apparently the Judiciary Committee won an award that I never wanted, which was to be here until 3 a.m. last night, but we got some good work done, so cheers to my fellow colleagues. Yeah, love you. But I wanted to give a quick shout out. It is House District 8 Day at the Capitol. We have members from the great District 8 right up here in the, come on, go ahead and stand in the galley. District 8 is home to great neighborhoods like City Park, Park Hill, Five Points, Congress Park, and so many others. Cultural attractions like the Denver Zoo, the Botanic Gardens, as well as the Denver Museum of Nature and Science. I'm proud to represent House District 8 and happy to see some of my fellow friends here today. Thank you.
Great. Representative Hamner.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and good morning, colleagues. I want to thank all of you who are wearing your college gear today. Would you please stand up if you're wearing a college sweatshirt or t-shirt so we can get the whole picture here this morning. And this is College Friday. We're recognizing the importance of higher education, recognizing universities and colleges that we have affiliation with, so I wanted to thank all of you. Hopefully we'll get a chance to do a photo op here this morning. And then the second announcement I have involves the Capitol Choir, so I'd like the Capitol Choir to come on down to the well, please. And we have a birthday on the floor today. Capitol Choir, today we'll be honoring Representative Benavidez, whose birthday is today. Wow. Oh, who knew? So she's not paying attention, but she will when she hears the beautiful singing coming from the Capitol Choir if they start with me. Remember? Okay. Are we ready? Oh, wow. We have new members to the choir. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, Representative Benavidez. Happy birthday to you. Thank you.
Happy birthday, Representative Benavidez. Any further announcements or introductions? Members, we have some very special guests from South High School here today. Along the side, Mr. Rob Duran is here. Welcome to the Capitol. Any further announcements or introductions? Seeing no further announcements or introduction, the next order of business is third reading of bill's final passage. Mr. Randall. Oh, Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to lay over House Bill 1237, 1286, and 1318 till Monday, April 24th.
Seeing no objection, House Bill 1237, House Bill 1286, and House Bill 1318 will be laid over. All right, Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1289.
House Bill 1289 by Representatives Valdez and Hansen, all Senators Corwin and Crowder, concerning a requirement that state engineer promulgate rules to establish an optional streamlined approach to calculate the historical consumptive use of a water right.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1289 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is a passage of House Bill 1289 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no discussion, Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 36 yes votes, 28 no votes, and 1 excuse, House Bill 1289 is passed. Co-sponsors. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to lay over Senate Bill 256 and 262 till Monday, April 24th.
Seeing no objection, Senate Bill 256 and Senate Bill 262 will be laid over. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1301.
House Bill 1301 by Representatives Michelson, Janelle, all Senators Holbert and Fields, concerning protecting a student's access to school records necessary for enrollment in another educational institution despite outstanding payments due to the school.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1301 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is a passage of House Bill 1301 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no discussion, Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 48 yes votes, 16 no votes, and 1 excuse, House Bill 1301 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1328.
House Bill 1328 by Representatives Hooten and Hansen, all Senators Jones and Kerr, concerning a requirement that the candidates for certain federal executive offices file income tax returns with the Secretary of State.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of House Bill 1328 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is a passage of House Bill 1328 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no discussion, Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 36 yes votes, 28 no votes, and 1 excused, House Bill 1328 is passed. Co-sponsors. Co-sponsors for transparency. Please close the machine. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 17.
Senate Bill 17 by Senator Aguilar, House Representative Singer, concerning adding stress disorders to the list of debilitating medical conditions for the purposes of the use of medical marijuana.
Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move for the passage of Senate Bill 17 on third reading and final passage.
The question before us is a passage of Senate Bill 17 on third reading and final passage. Seeing no discussion, Mr. Randall, please open the machine, and members, please proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 39 yes votes, 25 no votes, Senate Bill 17 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Madam Majority Leader Becker.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move to proceed out of order for the consideration of resolutions.
Seeing no objection, we will proceed out of order for the consideration of resolutions. And the Speaker Pro Tem will take the chair.
Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Joint Resolution 1023.
House Joint Resolution 1023 by Representative Foote, also Senator Jones, concerning the designation of a portion of Highway 66 as the Trooper Taylor Thiefald Memorial Highway.
Representative Foote.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I move House Joint Resolution 1023 and ask that it be read at length.
Whereas Trooper Taylor Tifo was born on September 12, 1993, in Fort Collins, Colorado. And whereas in 1998, Trooper Tifo and his mother, Carol Adler, went to Windsor, Colorado, where he attended Windsor High School and was the goalie for his high school's lacrosse team. And whereas at age 17, during the summer between his junior and senior years of high school, Trooper Tifo joined the United States Army and attended basic training in South Carolina. And whereas after graduating from Windsor High School in 2012, Trooper Tifo continued down the military path. And whereas Trooper Tifo always wanted to protect those who couldn't protect themselves, and law enforcement seemed like a natural fit, so in March 2015, he entered into the Colorado State Patrol Academy with ambition and pride. Whereas early in his training at the academy, Trooper Tifo exhibited strong leadership skills and was full of potential, setting the bar high for those who have and will continue to follow in his footsteps. And whereas on May 23, 2015, Trooper Tifo, who was riding with Trooper Clinton Rushing that day as part of his field training, was working on the scene of an accident on Highway 66 near County Line Road in Boulder County when both troopers were notified of a vehicle being pursued in a high-speed police chase. And whereas the vehicle careened into the accident scene and struck both Trooper Tifo and Trooper Rushing while they were trying to deploy stop sticks, and Trooper Tifo did not survive the fatal impact. And whereas before being struck by the vehicle, Trooper Tifo shouted at a tow truck driver who was at the scene because of the prior accident to stay off the road, saving his life. And whereas for that final act of heroism, then Cadet Tifo was promoted posthumously to the rank of trooper. And whereas Colorado State Patrol Chief Scott Hernandez said Trooper Tifo's actions that day defined the man he was and the kind of trooper others strive to be, and that they were honored to be wearing the uniform with him. And whereas in May 2016, for his exceptional service and sacrifice, Trooper Tifo's name was added to the National Law Enforcement Memorial to honor fallen officers. And whereas in his passing, there have been many people who knew Trooper Tifo that have shared their stories of his kind heart, his goofiness, laughter, smile, leadership skills, and how much he cared for others. And whereas Trooper Tifo's mother, Carol, said that if you asked Taylor, he would do it all over again because it is his dream to protect and serve his county and his community, and she is humbled by the fact that at such a young age, he accomplished so much good in his life. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the 71st General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the Senate concurring herein, that the portion of Highway 66 from mile marker 32 to mile marker 36 in Longmont, Colorado, be renamed the Trooper Taylor Tifo Memorial Highway. That the Colorado Department of Transportation may accept and expend gifts, grants, and donations for the purposes of the initial placement of signs to mark Highway 66 from mile marker 32 to mile marker 36 as the Trooper Taylor Tifo Memorial Highway, and that the Colorado Department of Transportation may explore a cooperative agreement with the Board of County Commissioners for Boulder County for the maintenance of the signs marking the Trooper Taylor Tifo Memorial Highway.
Representative Foote.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. Colleagues, thank you. Please be seated. Thank you for giving a few moments this morning to listen to this resolution about Trooper Tifo and, of course, the tribute that we had for Sergeant Rushing as well. I must admit that as I stand here this morning, I'm probably more nervous about this resolution than I am about presenting any bill over the last couple of years because, you know, it's really hard to think of what to say that would do any semblance of justice to what we have lost, what our community has lost, and of course what Taylor's family lost as a result of what happened a couple of years ago. Also, my brain doesn't work so well on 2 hours of sleep, so I'm not quite sure how this is going to come out. But I really appreciate being able to introduce this resolution. And I'll tell you a little bit about what happened. You heard this happened a couple of years ago in May, and Taylor had gotten out of the Army and decided that he wanted to enroll and sign up for the Colorado State Patrol so he could continue his service to the country and to his community. And he was going through the academy. He stood out as a cadet, and as part of their duties as a cadet, they go on ride-alongs with troopers during the weekends. And so this was May 23rd of 2015. It was a Saturday morning. It was about 7:30 in the morning, and Taylor Tifo and Clinton Rushing had been asked to go to an accident scene that was just in Boulder County, northeast part of Longmont, right around Highway 66 and Weld County Road 1. It was a two-car accident. There were a number of folks involved. There was a tow truck on the scene by the time they got there, and they were doing what they do, which is making sure that folks are safe, that there aren't additional accidents, and investigating what had happened. Little did they know at that point in time when they were doing their investigation that there was another driver just a few miles to the east that decided that he wanted to try to flee police when they tried to stop him for a traffic violation. That driver drove recklessly for several miles on Highway 66, reaching speeds up to 100 miles an hour. One of the other troopers on the scene of the accident scene, this unrelated accident scene, tried to deploy stop sticks to get that driver to stop driving recklessly and endangering people's lives. And the stop sticks were deployed, but it was right around that moment that that driver got to the scene. The driver was heading over there. The troopers were hearing what was going on the radio, and really the last thing that Taylor had done was make sure that that tow truck driver got out of the way and was out of harm's way. And right after that happened, that car came onto the scene at between 80 and 100 miles an hour and caused the tragedy that the driver caused. Subsequently, that driver was prosecuted for extreme indifference, first-degree murder successfully and was convicted and is rightfully spending the rest of his life in prison. But it's when trying to go through and figure out what to say about somebody like Taylor, it's hard, but there were a number of news articles that came out after this happened talking about his life, and one thing that I wanted to highlight was that he had, while he was in high school, come up with a list of the 25 things he wanted to achieve over the course of his life, and he had actually written this list down. And I have to say that's a lot better than I would have done and did in high school. I'm sure I didn't have a top 25 list in high school, and even if I did, I'm sure it wouldn't involve standing here in front of you as a state representative, because I had no idea that that's what I was going to be doing in high school. But he had things planned out very well, and I think also it talks about the kind of person he was, because he really prioritized the right things in life. He indicated that he wanted to join the Army. He wanted to get married, start a family. He wanted to save a life, which he did. He wanted to get a job. He wanted to volunteer in the community. And he also wrote down goals about where he wanted to go and some fun things he wanted to do, which I don't know if it would have been on my list of things to do, but he wanted to, for example, wrestle with an alligator. He wanted to swim with sharks. He wanted to visit Hawaii, Alaska, Germany during Oktoberfest. Those sound like fine things to do. And the last thing that he wrote on his list, it was number 25. He said that he wanted to be the best man, husband, son, soldier, and friend as possible. And I think that really speaks to the kind of person that he was. And that was evident all the way up to what happened on May the 23rd of 2015. So I just think that it's good to take a moment to recognize Taylor and his family and what happened on that day. And we ended up naming this Highway 66, part of Highway 66, just north of Longmont, after him, but it wasn't the actual accident site. And I think it makes sense why. When speaking with his mom, who's here, and many of his family members that are here, she indicated that she didn't want the actual accident site to be named after him. And so we moved it a little bit to the west to do that, and actually it turns out to be closer to where she lives. So I think it all works out well. So when we have a chance, I will introduce the folks that are here. There's lots of people here from the Colorado State Patrol, from the team that prosecuted the driver that caused this tragedy, and others. And I'm glad that they're here, and I'm glad that you've taken some time to listen to what happened and ask for an aye vote on this resolution.
Representative Singer.
Thank you, Representative Foote, for bringing this resolution forward, and I think you did just fine, especially considering how late you were up, and did the family right. There's just one story I wanted to share. You know, I drive Highway 66 every morning on the way to the Capitol, and every evening on the way back home. And so at least 5 days a week, not a day goes by that I don't think about Taylor. I've never met Taylor. I never even honestly met the family until briefly today. But I knew the story, and I knew about the top 25 list. And I also knew about a text message. So Taylor's mom and Taylor talked all the time. They worked out together. They had coffee every Friday. And even on the day of his death, she was the last person that he texted. And she held on to that phone number. Every now and then she would text that number and say, you know, I love you, I miss you. And it turns out that that number went to someone else. Those text messages went to someone else. And as you can imagine, somebody who might be receiving those messages, I love you, I miss you, might not know quite what to say if you see it from a number that you don't recognize. And so, but one day, that individual said, well, I'm not sure. One of the messages finally sort of got through to him, and he says, I'm not sure you know who this is going to, but I want to let you know who I am. I'm Sergeant Kel Hulsey from the Greeley Police Department. And I totally understand if you want me to change my number. And Carol immediately said, no, of course not. And they struck up a relationship and got to understand the story of Taylor and understood in so many ways Sergeant Kel Hulsey is carrying on Taylor's dream and reinvigorating the sergeant's work that he does with the people of Greeley every day. And unfortunately, it doesn't look like he could join us today. Duty called in Greeley, and so that is where he is. And I'll be bringing Sergeant Hulsey a tribute. But I just want to go back around to the top 25 list we see displayed here. He wasn't able to accomplish a lot of the things on that list, but we know that he is looking over Sergeant Hulsey and Carol and Highway 66 on my way in and my way back, and to a certain extent, all of us. And when I look at that last one, be the best man, husband, son, soldier, and friend as possible, he's made more friends than he's ever known. He's obviously saved a life. He is a great man. And while he'll never be a husband, he's taken care of so many families just in saving one person's life. Representative Michelson Janae reminded me of something the other day from the Talmud. When you save one life, you save a world. And that is exactly what Taylor has done. I rise in strong support of this, and I'm glad that every day while I'll be driving into work, I won't just be seeing a memorial with flowers and flags, but I'll see his name emblazoned up there. And other people will hopefully recognize this story, maybe even Google it and get to see on Channel 9 and in USA Today how not only he saved a life, but connected another officer with the mother of a fallen officer and reinvigorated the passion for protecting and serving. Thank you.
The motion before us is the adoption of House Joint Resolution 1023. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The resolution is adopted. Representative Foote.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem, and I ask that the current roll call be added as co-sponsors.
Seeing no objection, today's current roll call will be added as co-sponsors to the resolution. Representative Foote.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem, and I want to take just a second to introduce the number of folks that are here for this resolution. First, I will start and ask them to stand up and ask members to hold their applause till we get to the end of the list. Carol Adler, Taylor's mom, and her husband Brian are standing. Also, Larry Tifo is here, and he will stand. I want to introduce some folks from the Colorado State Patrol. You've already heard of and been introduced to Sergeant Rushing and his wife Gail, and their kids and Gail's parents are here. Chief Scott Hernandez is here from the State Patrol. Dolores Peppel, who's a victim assistant for the State Patrol, is here, as well as Lori Brown, and Sergeant Rob Madden is here from the Colorado State Patrol. And there are a number of members of the prosecution team that took this case to trial and secured a conviction on the case. District Attorney Stan Garnett is here, Carolyn French, one of the victim advocates, and Assistant District Attorney Ryan Brackley and Chief Trial Deputy Karen Lorenz are all here, as well as Detective Mike Stogsel from Longmont Police Department, who was essential in this case as well. And I apologize if I missed anybody else, but you have a good group of folks here that are here to recognize Taylor and everything that he did, so please give them a round of applause.
Thank you so much, honored guests, for being here, friends and family of Trooper Tifo, all of the electeds and the prosecution team and everyone that Representative Foote just introduced. You have our sincere gratitude for Trooper Tifo's service and for being here today. Thank you. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Joint Resolution 1025.
House Joint Resolution 1025 by Representatives Williams and Salazar, also Senators Hill and Moreno, concerning the request that Governor Hickenlooper exercise his right to grant clemency to Renee Lima Marin.
Representative Williams.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I move House Joint Resolution 1025 and ask that it be read at length.
Whereas, in 2000, at the age of 19, Renee Lima Marin and an accomplice were convicted of burglary, aggravated robbery, and second-degree kidnapping and given consecutive sentences of 98 years. And whereas, while Lima Marin was young at the time of committing the crime and not fully aware of the severe consequences of his actions prior to arrest, he was rightfully convicted at trial. And whereas, despite the initial stiff sentence, the public defender who reviewed Lima Marin's case file after sentencing assured him that if he believed while incarcerated his sentence would be greatly reduced, never explaining that the reduced sentence was due to a rare clerical error. And whereas, while incarcerated, Lima Marin became a model inmate, joining a small Christian prayer group that focused on personal responsibility and service to others, and with a clean behavior record, was granted parole in April 2008. And whereas during the 5 years of his parole, Lima Marin maintained a spotless record, fulfilling all the terms of the parole without incident and overcoming the many obstacles the formerly incarcerated face when re-entering society. And whereas the life of Lima Marin created outside of prison was that of a model citizen, working his way from menial jobs to a skilled career in construction, marrying his longtime girlfriend, raising his adopted son and the son he and his wife had after marrying, purchasing a home, and serving in the local church as a youth group leader who ministered to young people in group homes. And whereas in the intervening years between the initial incarceration and reincarceration, Lima Marin strived to be a productive, tax-paying member of society rather than a tax burden on the state. And whereas when Lima Marin was notified about the error and told he must return to prison, he surrendered to authorities of his own volition rather than evade capture, a strong testament to his honesty and moral conviction. And whereas by releasing Lima Marin early and then reincarcerating him because of the clerical error, the state is enacting cruel and unusual punishment by separating him from his family and the life he built as a rehabilitated, free citizen. And whereas the criminal justice system claims to not only be about upholding justice, but about reforming offenders, which is exactly what Lima Marin's initial incarceration achieved, as evidenced by the life he led during incarceration and in the years following his release. And whereas because of the rare nature of this administrative error, the Colorado General Assembly believes the equally rare granting of clemency authorized by the governor would eliminate a court decision that could set a problematic precedent for other cases in the future. Now therefore be it resolved by the House of Representatives of the 71st General Assembly of the State of Colorado, the Senate concurring herein, that we, the Colorado General Assembly, urge Governor Hickenlooper to use his executive authority to grant clemency to Renee Lima Marin.
Representative Williams.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. Members, please be seated. To the best of my knowledge, this type of resolution has never been offered or voted on before. Normally, the General Assembly wouldn't weigh in on the issue of clemency for someone who's currently incarcerated. These matters are usually discussed and decided by the governor in connection with the state's clemency board and their clemency application process. And I have great respect for that process, and I appreciate the thoroughness and thoughtfulness that the governor and the clemency board take as they go through that process. And I would expect nothing less from them as they wrestle with the unfortunate case of Renee Lima Marin. Late one December night, as all of you are aware, I'm a new dad. My son Logan was born in December, and as newborns tend to do, they keep new parents up late. And so late one December night, as I was tending to Logan, I came across a news story in the Denver Post. The story was about Renee, and it was absolutely heartbreaking. Yes, Renee did commit the crimes that he was accused of, and he was rightfully convicted. But the story doesn't end there. Renee turned his life around in prison. He found salvation in Jesus Christ. He became a model inmate. And then he was granted parole. And he fulfilled the terms of those parole with flying colors. Renee started a family. He found steady employment. He purchased a home. He became a productive, tax-paying member of society. But that fairy tale ending was very short-lived. The state had discovered that the clerical error existed, and releasing him early was a mistake. The second chance that Rene was given was snatched away from him. He was put back in prison. He was taken away from his family, his job, his home. In the chamber with us today are Rene's wife, Jasmine, and 2 children, Justice and Josiah. And I asked Jasmine to tell me what it's been like for her family. And in her own words, this is what she shared. The last 3 years have been very hard. You wake up every morning as if you can't move on. Your life is on hold and in limbo. Every day I look at my children and think about all the precious moments that have been taken away from us. Things and time that we can never get back. That is what hurts the most. Missing your child's first day of kindergarten, losing his first tooth, missing 3 years of holidays, birthdays, anniversaries. Since he's been gone, I have struggled mentally, emotionally, and financially. Picture building a life over 5 years, all the things you work so hard for, all the bills you incur off 2 incomes, then to have the source of that main income taken, feeling the embarrassment of your neighbors seeing your water shut off. A tow truck, repo, not 1 but 2 vehicles, the fear of losing your home, having to fight stress and depression and find the strength to keep going daily, missing waking up and falling asleep with your husband next to you. There are no words to describe what our family is going through and what pain we feel on a daily basis. I pray every day for this nightmare to end. Members, why are we here? Why did we decide to publicly serve and join the General Assembly? While we may disagree passionately about the issues and solutions that face our state, I think the common thread between us is that we all got involved to make a positive difference in the lives of our neighbors. You know, it's a bit cheesy, but this is something that when I ran for office, I told the voters and a little bit about my motivation as to why I got involved. And like I said, it's a bit cheesy, so be forewarned, but bear with me. There's an old movie, it's called Mr. Smith Goes to Washington. And it stars Jimmy Stewart, and he's a newly appointed state senator. And there's this famous scene at the end, towards the end of the movie, where he's filibustering in the Senate. And in the speech he gives, he talks about lost causes and why those types of causes are the ones worth fighting for. And he gives a reason as to why that's the case. And the reason he gives is a very simple one: to love thy neighbor. As I pursued Rene's freedom, I've been asked a very reasonable question. You know, does Rene or does his family live in your district? And they don't. And I don't think that matters because they're my neighbors. There are 64 of us that don't technically represent Rene or his family, but I would ask that all of us treat them as our neighbors and be a part of their story of restoration and redemption. We have an opportunity to make a difference for a family that desperately needs a miracle while ensuring that true justice is served. And true justice in this instance is letting a man who did repay his debt back to society, who did find Almighty God, and who has been redeemed, to be reunited with his family. So I urge all of us to support this resolution and give Rene a second chance. And really quick, I want to take this opportunity to thank Representative Salazar for co-sponsoring this resolution with me. It's no secret that we don't agree on many things, but he took the opportunity to do a noble thing with me when others passed. And without hesitation, Representative Salazar stepped up to the plate and put politics aside. And I want to thank my colleague for that, and I'm certain that Rene's family is grateful for your help as well. Thank you.
Representative Salazar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. And what's really interesting is that I was going to open up my speech saying the same thing, that maybe Representative Williams and I don't agree on much, but there's something about privilege and obligation that lives in this chamber. that we are privileged to be here and we are bestowed an enormous amount of power in our positions. And as part of that privilege, we can use that power to do so many things. We could use it to do such good in the world, good in our state, good for our fellow humankind. And then there's obligation, that we are obligated to use that privilege to do these things. But obligation also means, too, that even when you disagree with a colleague, and even where you may vehemently fight with your colleague, it is your obligation to put things aside to do the right thing. And I am honored to be on this resolution with Representative Williams, and that he asked that I participate in this with him. And we were told that this is unprecedented. In fact, people were nervous that this was being done because it was unprecedented. But it's unprecedented because Rene Lima Marin is a most extraordinary man. He made a mistake, he was punished, and he worked his way through obstacles, and he overcame his barriers, both the external barriers in his life as well as those internal barriers that only he could recognize. He reached deep inside himself for reflection and found his spiritual strength. Despite his surroundings, the monochromatic bars and concrete, washing away the colors of life, he found his path away from prison and into a prism of multifaceted light. Rene Lima Marin is that man who found triumph after experiencing defeat. While in prison, he became what this General Assembly expected of him. And in fact, the word rehabilitation is quite insignificant as compared to what he has become. And when that clerical error was discovered, he once again did the right thing and turned himself in. This man is extraordinary. And that's why we are taking this unprecedented action, recognizing that there is a process of clemency that he must go through, but also recognizing, too, that he will go through it quite successfully because he is extraordinary. And that as he goes through this process and he comes through the other side, that the governor will be there to also recognize his privilege and his obligation. To his wife and to his children, hijos, your father is an amazing man. He is good and he is strong. And he has done things that no member of this chamber could ever fathom. We expect that he serves as an example to you, just as much as he serves as an example to us in this chamber. I mean, look at where you're at. There are 65 members here, elected officials. And we are here to honor your dad. And we are here to fight for him. We thank you very much for being here. And we love you. Because your dad is our brother. And you are our family too. Thank you very much.
Representative Rosenthal.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. And I rise in support of this House Joint Resolution 1025. Members, this is the sort of thing where, as some of you know, I work in the criminal justice system. I am a teacher at a youth correctional facility. And for the past 12 years, I have served on the Denver Community Corrections Board. So I have seen upwards of almost about 10,000 cases of offenders who are seeking to return to community through Denver's dozen halfway houses. And so some of the cases, I'd say all the cases are difficult, but some of them are particularly difficult. The ones that are the worst offenders and some of the worst crimes. And so, but I've always been very encouraging of the governor to grant pardons and clemencies. And so that is the reason why I'm supporting this. However, what I'd like to do is offer an amendment that I have talked to the sponsors about and they're supportive of. So I will give this for display. So I move L003 and ask that it be displayed. So members, what the amendment speaks to is the fact that this resolution occurs in a context that over the past number of decades, that there haven't been as many pardons and clemencies as we've seen in the past, and which is sort of actually necessitating this resolution today, as well as the fact that under consideration currently, along with Mr. Marine, are other cases under consideration, and that Mr. Marine has also deserved this clemency, and I believe potentially even a pardon, because that way he would not have to list this on a job application. And I ask for your support.
Representative Williams.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I do consider this a friendly amendment, and I do urge your support. Thank you.
Members, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L003. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. The amendment is adopted. To the resolution, Representative Gray.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise in support of this, and I think it's actually really, really important because I worked as a prosecutor for a number of years. I've sent people to prison for decades before. But it's also really important that the members of our society understand when we do that, we do it for a reason. And the reason we do it is when you commit a violent crime, you break faith with our society. And we don't trust you in our society anymore. You create a danger to our society, and you don't get the benefit of the doubt anymore. You've created a danger that we're going to remove. And so when we do that, I think we act justly. But it also has to be that we believe that to be true, not just there are some numbers on a piece of paper. And this is an individual who was released and proved that we didn't need to do that in his particular case where he was in his life when he was released. We didn't need to keep him out of society to keep other people safe. That might be, I don't know whether that's the exception, I don't know whether it was the rule. It happened because of a mistake, but we need to say, when we put somebody into prison, we're not doing it as an arbitrary result of some numbers on a spreadsheet, that we're doing it for a reason. And in this case, that reason was proven to not be necessary. We don't need to spend money to keep this person in prison. We don't need to keep him away from his family in order to keep ourselves safe. He proved it to us. He didn't tell us that. He proved it to us. He was released because of a mistake, but that wasn't his mistake. That was our mistake. That was our state's mistake. And it could have gone very differently. There are plenty of people in the Department of Corrections right now who committed this kind of crime that if you released them, something horrible could have happened to other people. Like, it was a really bad mistake. But it wasn't his. It was ours. And we shouldn't punish him for our mistake. This could have gone very differently. And we need to, as a state, we need to take a minute to look around and say, how did this happen, and make sure those kinds of things don't happen, because it could have gone very differently. But we also have to look out to the people of our state and say, when we act in the criminal justice system, we're not acting arbitrarily. We're not, once you become convicted of a crime, you're not just a number on a spreadsheet. You're not just another number that's there. We're acting to keep you away from people because you could be a danger. And this is somebody who proved he wasn't a danger. And we need to show that our criminal justice system exists to protect people and is a system that interacts in humanity, is not just an arbitrary set of rules and pieces of paper where a typo or entering something the wrong way is what matters, much more than the humans that we're protecting, but also the humans that we're incarcerating. So not just the folks in this room, but everybody who hears and pays attention to this resolution, I would ask very much that we act on it to show people that a criminal justice system is designed around people, and is designed to show that when we act to protect people. We don't just act because that's what some numbers on a piece of paper have to say. Thank you.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. And members, I rise in support of HJR 1025. When I first heard about this story about Mr. Moran, my heart broke. I couldn't believe what had happened with this gentleman. And I knew that something needed to be done. And I'll admit that I wasn't sure that a resolution was the best way to go about this. But I'm glad that the sponsors thought outside the box, because even in my own thinking about what was the right vehicle, I was doing the exact same thing that's the problem with our criminal justice system. I wasn't thinking outside the box. And so often we get down here and we get stuck in the routine of motions and rules and amendments and statutes that we forget about the human touch. Members, this gentleman, he served his time, he served time, we made a mistake, and he turned his life around, which is exactly what we expect, exactly what we ask people to do. And even when the mistake was caught, he turned himself back in. He returned to continue to pay the debt back to the state. But because of our mistake, we have a debt to his family. We have a debt that needs to be paid, because it is his family now that suffers because of what we did here in the state. It is his family that suffers because we're stuck in this routine of motions and of statutes and of amendments and of not thinking outside the box. And so, members, I urge an aye vote on this resolution, so that way we can ask the governor to use a human touch, a rare human touch, to correct the mistake that the state did and make this family whole again. I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Herod.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you to the sponsors for bringing this resolution forward. I too rise in support of this resolution. You know, we hear a lot of stories, especially in the Judiciary Committee, of folks who commit crimes who either don't own up to them or don't feel like the penalty fits the crime. But when we have someone, members, who served their time, got out, did the right thing, turned their lives around, got their lives together, truly seeking redemption from society, we should look at that, right? And when someone realizes there's an error and they have to go back, I can't imagine how scary that must be for that individual and for that family. We know how hard it is to get out of prison and turn your life around and really do right in society. There are so many things stacked against you. It's tough, you know, and there's many people who can't do it. But to know that you have, and then that you have to go back to jail, go back to confinement, leave your family, I just can't imagine. Members, when someone turns themselves in for something that is an error of the state, I'd have to think that he had hope, that the state would think about what he did, how he's turned his life around, how he's acted in society. Hope that maybe the state would say, okay, you owned up to your mistake, we're gonna own up to ours. Continue to do well in society, continue to take care of your family, and allow this man to return home. I think he still has hope. And today, I hope the family has hope. I am so honored to see you sitting here today. Members, what this resolution is giving more hope to the family. It's acknowledging that when someone turns their life around, we should look at that. But not only is it giving it hope, it's giving the strength of this body, sending a message from this body that redemption is possible, that redemption does matter, and that we should step in and let this man go back to his family. Thank you. I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Salazar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I know that the motion or the resolution has been moved. I want to thank Representative Matt Gray for alerting us to a fact that the General Assembly should hear. This is more than just a resolution. His next parole hearing is in 2053. 2053. This is more than just a resolution. Thank you very much, Representative Gray. I appreciate you asking that I remind the members of that.
Representative Navarro.
Thank you. And I just felt compelled to come down. As a teacher at the Department of Corrections, I was a teacher for the inmates. And it does my heart good to see that the time and the dedication that the inmates put in to make a difference in their lives when they were released back into our communities to be effective. This is a prime example of what those classes do in the Department of Corrections when you're an inmate and you're trying to change your life around before you can come out so that you can be better for yourself and for your family. And I full-heartedly support this, and I want to thank you guys for bringing this forward. This is something that we really need to focus on and bring our attention to, and my heart goes out to the family. Thank you.
Representative Sain.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and I want to thank the sponsors for bringing this forward. I'd like to read something from Romans 13:3. It says, "For rulers that are not a terror to good conduct, but to bad, would you have no fear of the one who is in authority? Then do what is good and you will receive his approval." And obviously, this man is not a terror. He's done what is good. And this is right and good to do this for him and your family. So thank you so much.
Is there further discussion on House Joint Resolution 1025? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of HJR 1025. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say no. The ayes have it. House Joint Resolution 1025 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Mr. Randall, please open the machine. Please. Final call for co-sponsors.
People acknowledge the family.
Yes, okay. Thank you. Please close the machine. Representative Salazar.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. Thank you, members. I just would like the body to rise and acknowledge the family of Renee Lima Marin.
Thank you for being here today. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I move to lay over the balance of the resolution calendar.
Seeing no objection, the balance of the resolution calendar will be laid over. The next item of business is Senate amendments to House Bill. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I move to lay over House Bill 1155 till Monday, April 24th.
House Bill 1155 will be laid over at the Majority Leader's request. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1201.
House Bill 1201 by Representative Coleman, Senator Zinzinger, and Priola concerning authorization for granting a high school diploma endorsement in the combined disciplines of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics.
Representative Coleman.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I move to concur with the Senate amendments to House Bill 1201.
Would you like to explain yourself, sir?
Yes, thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. The Senate amendments simply add a requirement for the endorsement to have students either achieve a high score on a suite of tests provided by College Board to assess reading, writing, mathematics, and computer skills, or an 85 or higher on the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery Test, which is used for military enlistment. The final amendment adds that the local education provider in the surrounding community has identified the STEM-related businesses to establish the high proficiency levels of mastery for competency. And again, I ask for an aye vote.
Thank you for that explanation. The question before us is the motion to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1201. Please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Becker J., Representative Bridges, Representative Buckner, Representative Carver, Representative Hooton, Representative Lebsock, Representative Leonard, Representative Pabon, Representative Salazar. Representative Buckner, Representative Carver, Representative Lebsock, you're already at $2. Close the machine. With 57 ayes, 5 noes, 2 excused, and 1 absent, the motion to concur is adopted. That'll be $2 fine, Representative Carver, and $5 for Representative Lebsock. Madam Majority Leader. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill.
Nope, I have to.
Representative Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1201 as amended.
Thank you. Sorry about that. The question before us is the repassage of House Bill 1201 as amended. Please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Becker, Representative Lebsack, Representative Leonard, Representative McKean, Representative Melton. Representative Melton, that's going to be a $2 fine. Got to keep up with the times here. Please close the machine. With 61 ayes, 1 no, 2 excused, and 1 absent, the motion to repass House Bill 1201 is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Mr. Rendell, please read the title of House Bill 1003.
House Bill 1003 by Representative McLaughlin, House under quorum concerning a strategic plan to address teacher shortages in Colorado.
Representative McLaughlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to concur with Senate Amendment 001 to House Bill 1003. Thank you, turkeys.
Could you please explain that disappointing motion?
Be happy to. Yes, this adds the work of licensed and unlicensed teachers to the study without further cost. And I think this will be a great opportunity to discuss the importance of having licensed and highly qualified teachers in the classroom. I ask for your support.
Thank you. The motion before us is to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1003. Please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Ransom, please close the machine. With 53 ayes, 10 noes, 2 excused, the motion to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1003 is passed. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1003 as amended.
The motion before us is the repassage of House Bill 1003 as amended. Please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Gray, Representative Pabon. Please close the machine. With 35 ayes, 28 noes, 2 excused, House Bill 1003 is repassed as amended. Mr. Randall, please read the, I'm sorry, co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Please read the title of House Bill 1072.
House Bill 1072 by Representatives Landgraf and Lawrence, House Senator Cook, concerning human trafficking for sexual servitude.
Representative Landgraf.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. Members, the Senate, contemplative, thoughtful, but slow, looked at our bill and thought, which way should we go? Should we add an amendment? Should we make the bill better? Or do we leave it alone, keep it unfettered? In the end, they decided, although it was tense, they'd add a new section, an affirmative defense. It's back in the House where we must decide to go with the Senate or set it aside. So prepare to start clucking, hissing, and groan, because we move to leave the Senate's decision alone.
Representative Landgraf, I think that might be the first time a motion to concur with Senate amendments was applauded.
It's always a first for something.
Representative Lawrence.
We just asked for your concurrence. I can't top that.
Thank you. The motion before us is to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1072. Please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Please close the machine. With 63 ayes and 2 excused, the motion to concur with Senate amendments is passed. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1072 as amended.
The motion before us is to repass House Bill 1072 as amended. Please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Close the machine. With 63 ayes, 2 excused, House Bill 1072 is repassed as amended. Mr. Randall, please read the title. I'm sorry, co-sponsors. Keep forgetting co-sponsors.
Do you want to make the motion? Do you want to make the motion, or you want me to make the motion?
Well, I can.
You want to make, and then I'll explain it. Unless you
Okay.
want to explain it. Which one would you like to do?
Close the machine.
Make the motion.
Okay.
I've got the explanation.
Okay.
Please read the title of House Bill 1160.
House Bill 1160 by Representatives Hamner and Wilson, also Senators Priel and Fields, concerning authorizing a local education provider to determine the language in which a student who is an English language learner takes reading assessments in kindergarten through 3rd grade.
Representative Hamner.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem, and Representative Wilson is making me make the motion. So I move that the House concur with the Senate amendments to House Bill 1160.
Representative Hamner, please. Representative Wilson, could you explain your partner's motion?
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem, and thank you, Representative Hamner, for facing the chicken house there. Colleagues, the lower chamber always amazes me, and this is one of those amazing amendments that they put in. The bill title already talks about what their amendment did. It authorizes the local education provider to determine the language in which the student will take the test. Their amendment allows the local provider to determine the language in which the student will take the test. But over there, a lot of them are getting hard of hearing, so they like to hear it twice, is why I'm assuming that they had to put it in. So I would ask for your aye vote on the amendment and on the bill. And incidentally, we sent it out of here unanimously because we thought it was perfect, and they just had to hear it twice. Thank you.
You've heard the motion, members, to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1160. Please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Young. With 63 aye votes, 2 excused, the motion to concur with Senate amendments to House Bill 1160 is passed. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1160 as amended.
The motion is to repass House Bill 1160 as amended. Please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Singer, Representative Humphrey, Representative Catlin, Representative Benavidez. Close the machine. With 60 ayes, 3 noes, 2 excused. The motion to repass House Bill 1160 as amended is adopted. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I move to proceed out of order for the consideration of conference committee reports.
Seeing no objection, we will proceed out of order at the Majority Leader's request. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1035.
House Bill 1035 by Representative Jackson, all Senator Cook, concerning allowing certain crime victims to break their rental agreements under certain circumstances.
Representative Jackson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that the House adopt the first report of the first conference committee on House Bill 1035.
The motion before us is to adopt the first report of the first conference committee on House Bill 1035. Seeing no further, is there further discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members proceed to vote.
Okay.
Representative Milton, Representative Becker. Representative Becker, Jay.
What's he doing?
With 63 ayes, 2 excused, the motion to adopt the report is passed. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I move for the repassage of House Bill 1035.
Question before us is the repassage of House Bill 1035. Please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Beckman, Representative Willett. With 61 ayes, 2 noes, and 2 excused, the motion to repass House Bill 1035 is passed. Co-sponsors. Please close the machine. Oh, just in time. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I move that the following bills be made special orders on Friday, April 21st at 10:31 a.m. House Bill 13... Oh, you need to read the report, sorry.
Reports of Committee of Reference.
Committee on Appropriations, after consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following bills be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. House Bill 1248, House Bill 1292, House Bill 1305, House Bill 1337, Senate Bill 27. After consideration on the merits, the committee recommends the following bills also be amended as follows. And as amended, be referred to the Committee of the Whole with favorable recommendation. House Bill 1260, House Bill 1275, House Bill 1340, House Bill 13. That's it.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I move that the following bills be made special orders at 10:34 a.m. today. House Bill 1332, House Bill 1292, House Bill 1337, House Bill 1330, House Bill 1260, House Bill 1340, House Bill 1310, House Bill 1279, House Bill 1305, House Bill 1252, House Bill 1320, House Bill 1291, House Bill 1300, Senate Bill 117, Senate Bill 268, Senate Bill 27, Senate Bill 215, Senate Bill 218, Senate Bill 244, Senate Bill 132.
Seeing no objection, they will be made special orders. Representative Michelson-Janay. You have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, we will move into consideration of special orders. Representative Michelson-Janay will take the chair.
The committee will come to order. With your unanimous consent, the bills will be read by title unless there is a request for reading a bill at length. Committee amendments will not be read unless requested, as they are printed and in your bill folders. Floor amendments will be shown on the screen and on your iPads and not read unless requested. Bills will be laid over upon motion of the majority leader, and the court rule is relaxed. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1332.
House Bill 1332 by Representatives Bridges and Wilson, Senators Finberg and Smallwood concerning State Board of Education authorization for alternative teacher license for a person who participates in an alternative teacher program provided by a designated agency with a non-public early child care facility.
Representative Bridges.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1332. There is no committee report.
To the bill. Representative Wilson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Colleagues, this bill is about choice, equity, and sustainability. Most early childhood educators are employed outside public education in private community-based preschools or child care facilities. If one of those early childhood educators wished to pursue licensure, they would not have access to an alternative program like their counterparts in public schools do. Alternative programs are available to individuals who are working while pursuing additional education, which allows for upward mobility. How does this bill address the needs? Early childhood educators need to have the choice of where they would like to teach without being denied the opportunity to pursue alternative licensure. Early childhood educators should be able to enjoy equitable access with their peers, no matter what their educational setting. And if we are going to sustain the supply of early childhood educators in an ever-expanding world of early childhood needs, we'd better offer opportunities for alternative licensure. I urge an aye vote on 1332.
Is there any further discussion? Mr. Bridges, Representative Bridges.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just real quickly, this bill helps providers, this bill helps parents, this bill helps kids, and this bill helps educators. Good bill, vote yes.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1332. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1332 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1292.
House Bill 1292 by Representative Young, Senator Lumber, concerning child welfare license out-of-home placement provider rates and in connection therewith making an appropriation.
Representative Young.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1292 and the committee report from Public Health Care and Human Services.
To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The committee report in Public Health, or the amendment in Public Health, actually was the result of good stakeholder work done that actually brings the counties and the providers together in support of the bill, and so I ask for your aye vote.
To the bill? Would you, oh, no committee, sorry, thank you. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee report passes. To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, members, this is a joint budget committee bill, and there was a lot of work that's been done by our staffer over the last couple of years, bringing the counties and providers together, because, ladies and gentlemen, we have a crisis concerning our licensed out-of-home placement providers. In the past year, 5 of those treatment programs have closed, and over the past decade, almost half of them have closed. And this is a signal to the Budget Committee, and should be a signal to all of us that we have a crisis there and we need to focus on it. And so our staffer began to do this stakeholder work over the past few years and ultimately came up with the suggestions that are in this bill to actually bring everyone together and come up with a better rate-setting methodology that doesn't result in the closing of these facilities. There's one in Greeley, the Littler Center, that closed, and we were devastated when that happened. And so I know that this is a significant problem, and I'm pleased that we found a way to come together on this bill and actually figure out a process that will improve the situation. With that, I ask for your aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1292. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1292 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1337.
House Bill 1337 by Representative Hamner, Senator Moreno, concerning the authority of the Department of Revenue to establish a renewal application fee for the liquor license that the department issues.
Representative Hamner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Colleagues, I move House Bill 1337. There are no committee reports.
To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, House Bill 1337 is being brought to you by your Joint Budget Committee. And we learned that because of a reduction in liquor license fees. The department was facing a critical shortage in being able to provide the services that Colorado expects from the department. So what the bill does is it allows the department to issue a liquor license application fee, and I ask for a yes vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1337. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1337 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1330.
House Bill 1330 by Representatives Lee and Wist, House Senators Fields and Cook, concerning disallowing the use of certain convictions for the purpose of adjudicating a person an habitual criminal.
Representative Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1330 and the Judiciary Committee report.
To the committee report.
The Judiciary Committee report just made a minor change to properly define a community corrections facility. I ask for an aye vote on the Judiciary Committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the Judiciary Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Judiciary Committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Judiciary Committee report is passed. Representative Lee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. House Bill 1330 provides that a escape from a community correction halfway house facility cannot be a predicate offense as the basis to charge someone with being a habitual criminal. It came out of the Judiciary Committee unanimously, and I ask for an aye vote.
Seeing no more, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1330. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1330 passes.
Thank you.
Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1260.
House Bill 1260 by Representative Kennedy, Senator Finberg, concerning the establishment of contribution limits under the Fair Campaign Practices Act for candidates for county offices.
Representative Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1260 in the Appropriations Committee report.
To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Appropriations Committee added an amendment allocating money from the State Department's cash fund. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee report passes. Representative Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill puts in place contribution limits for our county candidates. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before... Representative Humphrey, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I was a little late coming up. Members voted no on this in committee. These numbers are a little bit arbitrary. That was the subject of some debate in the committee, and I think we're trying to solve a problem that doesn't really exist here. So I'd urge a no vote on this.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1260. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1260 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1340. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1340 till Monday, April 24th.
House Bill 1340 will be laid over on motion of the Majority Leader. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1310.
House Bill 1310 by Representatives Kennedy and Jackson, all Senator Vinberg, concerning an application screening fee that a residential landlord charges a prospective tenant.
Representative Jackson and Representative Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1310 and the committee report, Finance Committee report.
To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Basically, we had a really good compromise. It helps out some of our landlords. Actually brought one of our members of opposition to neutral. Urge an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee report passes. Representative Jackson.
To the bill, thank you.
To the bill.
Madam Chair. This is a bill, it basically concerns application screening fees landlords charge for potential tenants. It requires simply that they only spend the actual costs, that they only charge the actual costs, and that they give a receipt to those potential tenants.
Representative Kennedy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this is a good bill. There are some examples out there of some landlords who are really using these rental application fees as a source of profit rather than just covering the costs of what it takes to process the background checks or some of their internal administrative costs to deal with it. By capping these fees, we're going to give more people a chance to find rental housing when they've been struggling in this current market, and this should just give them a leg up. So we ask for your support.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1310. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. 1310 passes. House Bill 1310 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1279.
House Bill 1279 by Representatives Garnett and Sane, also Senators Tate and Guzman, concerning the requirement that a Unit Owners Association obtain approval through a vote of unit owners before filing construction defect action.
Representative Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's an honor to serve with you.
And it is an honor to serve with you as well.
I move the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee report and House Bill 1279.
To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. I want to thank the members of the State Affairs Committee for their patience and their work on House Bill 1279 on Wednesday. We had a very informative committee hearing, but we also moved a number of different amendments that changed the bill that is before you guys today, and everyone was patient and attentive and asked great questions. So thanks to all the members of the State Affairs Committee. What we did is we made sure that the process for notice and disclosure for moving forward with a construction defect action is all going to take place in 90 days. We made a few other technical amendments, and I would like to move L008 to the committee report.
The amendment is properly before us. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And members, this is just cleaning up a few other things. We were up very late on Tuesday night, and when we were drafting some amendments on Wednesday morning, some of the intent of what we did on Tuesday night wasn't reflected, and this amendment gets there, and I would urge an aye vote on L008.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L008? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L008 to the committee report. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Amendment L008 passes. Representative Sane.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this is a historic bill made in a historic moment. Homeowners that reside in a common interest community will, for the first time, have an opportunity to hear from both sides, plaintiffs' attorneys, construction professionals, before engaging in a construction defect lawsuit, and a potential opportunity to hear an offer to remedy the defect from the home builder. Without HB 1279, as few as 2 homeowners could have brought a lawsuit, encumbering the rights of other owners to sell or refinance their home, tantamount to financial house arrest without their consent. HB 1279 remedies the statutory defect by allowing homeowners to control their future for the first time by giving them a disclosure outlining the costs and benefits of potential litigation, and most importantly, giving them a vote. The homeowners meeting in the bill kicks off that voting process with election integrity. I want to thank both of the sponsors of this bill, Representative Garnett and Representative Wist, for working such long, hard hours and bringing this to fruition.
Representative Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would urge an aye vote on the committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee report. All those in favor say aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee report passes. To the bill. Representative Wist.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, for many years down here, we have been working on the issue of construction defects or construction litigation reform or whatever term that you want to apply to it. But what this issue has resulted in is a 20+% condo market becoming a 2% condo market. Here's why that's important. First-time home buyers are being prevented from their ability to begin their part of the American dream, which is home ownership. And so many of our seniors who are looking to step down and do a condo community find that there is not sufficient inventory in our condo market for them to purchase. So we have worked hard and on a bipartisan and bicameral basis on this legislation. I want to thank Representative Sain, Representative Garnett, and our colleagues in the Senate who have spent many, many hours working on this. We're bringing before you a piece of legislation that has broad support outside the four corners of this chamber. This will help to move our housing market forward, and I am very proud of the work that our group has done. I encourage your support of House Bill 1279.
Representative Salazar.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And as many of the members here know, for the past couple of years, I have been a deciding no vote on this bill or iterations of this bill. But I have to tell you that today, the students from Riverdale Elementary School would not want me to be a no vote and would not want me to speak against this bill. And because of that, we should give them an applause to ensure that their state representative supports this bill. And you guys are way too old to be elementary school students, so we'll just applause for them in absentia. Thank you very much.
Representative Garnett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to thank Representative Wist and Representative Sain for all of the work that we put in on this process. We started before session began. There were moments of doubt about if we could get there, but what we never doubted was the trust that we had in each other, that we wanted to get to the finish line. And when you aren't doubting whether or not the people who are sitting with you at the table have the same goal as you, it really allows you to focus on the policy and not the politics. And so I want to thank both of you for that. We certainly wouldn't be here if we had not brokered that trust early on in this process. And to the stakeholders who worked hard and who have been, working hard on this issue for years and years in the past, thank you for sitting at the table for hours on end and for listening to one another. I think listening was the key this year, and I'm very proud of the work that we've done, and I would urge an aye vote from every member in this body on House Bill 1279.
Representative Navarro.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, sponsors, for bringing forward this very important House Bill 1279. And with that, I would like to introduce to you Pueblo West High School. Thank you for being here.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1279. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. House Bill 1279 passes. The ayes have it. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1305.
House Bill 1305 by Representatives Foote and Milton, all Senator Guzman, concerning the timing of an inquiry into a job applicant's criminal history.
Representative Foote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1305 and the Judiciary Committee report.
To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The committee report reflects an amendment that was made in Judiciary As we said in Judiciary, and we'll say again today, we're always looking for feedback on this bill and to make it a technically better bill. And this is one of those efforts where we included in the bill an exception to the requirement that's stated in the bill where if an employer must run a criminal history as part of offering employment to somebody, then they are exempt from the requirements in the bill. So it passed the House Judiciary Committee unanimously, and we ask for an aye vote on the floor as well.
Is there any further discussion on the Judiciary Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Judiciary Committee report. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. The ayes have it. The committee report passes.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Representative Melton to the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, we bring to you House Bill 1305, which many of you may look at and think of as the ban the box bill, but members, this is actually what we would call the giving people a chance to compete act, because this has a key difference between ban the box. So with this bill, it asks that, or it requires that an employer cannot ask on an application about someone's criminal history. So you can get their name, their address, their work history, their education, but just not ask in a box with lines about their criminal history. The difference between this bill and last year's bill or other bills that you've seen is that it does allow for a background check to be done anytime during the process, during the hiring process. Ban the box does not. Ban the box does not allow that until the final stage when an employer is ready to make an offer. You may ask, well, why make this distinction? And this is so that way employers are not going through an entire lengthy process, because we've heard in the past that we don't want employers to go through an entire lengthy HR process, get to the end, and then not be able to hire the person. So members, this allows an employer to be able to take an application, look and see if this person meets the skills and the qualifications that they need to fill a position, and without having the bias of seeing immediately that this person may have a criminal background. Now, if the person does have those qualifications, then it allows the employer then to have a dialogue with that potential candidate, with that applicant, about their criminal history. They can ask the question as the very first question when they come in for an interview. They can then also pull a background check as soon as they've decided that they want to continue to move forward. So this is a very different bill than last year's bill. This is a much friendlier bill to business. And members, I think this is the way we should go for Colorado. Our state currently does not ask about criminal background checks for state public jobs. I believe that we should do the same thing in our private sector. So that way, people who have earned skills, people who have increased their education while they were incarcerated or even after they've been incarcerated, can get themselves back on their feet. We heard in committee from victims groups who talked about how they actually support this bill, so that way their offenders, or the offenders that as they're coming out, can pay the retribution, can pay child support, and can become a real productive member of society. Members, this is a good bill, as we just passed a resolution that talked about how we want to clean up the criminal justice field and make sure that people are turning their lives around. This bill helps do that. This bill helps do what that gentleman this morning just did. So with that, members, I would ask for an aye vote, but I'll let my co-prime sponsor also speak to this.
Representative Foote.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And it is indeed appropriate to bring this bill on our day of redemption that we've talked about down here. Members, this bill is all about economic opportunity and making sure that folks can support themselves and their families. And this is also one of those bills where it's too bad that everybody couldn't sit in on the committee hearing. Of course, there's some committee hearings that are more valuable than others. This one was very, very valuable to hear the stories of people that had struggled for years, even decades, to find employment after they had committed some kind of a crime. And remember, it doesn't have to be a felony crime. Many of these boxes say, have you committed any crime whatsoever? And they have to check the box. So if somebody committed a misdemeanor 20 years ago or a drug possession charge 15 years ago, they have to check the box. and people coming in and talking about how difficult it was for them to find employment just because they had to check the box. One story in particular really stands out, and that's a story of a woman who was a convicted felon. She went and served her time in prison for what she did, rightfully so, because she did what she was accused of doing, and she got out. And of course, like anybody, she needs to come out and find a job and support herself so that she's not on government assistance, and also she can support her family. And that's what she kept trying to do. This is a woman that had a lot of qualifications. Before she went into prison, she made a bad mistake. She went to prison. She came out. She still had those same qualifications that she had before she went into prison. But she's applying time and time and time again, and she has to check the box time and time and time again. One area in particular, she was on an online application service for a sandwich shop, to be a sandwich maker for a sandwich shop. A woman who, I think she had a bachelor's degree or higher and had lots of experience in a professional field, was applying to be a sandwich maker for a sandwich shop. And on the online application, she was going through it, everything looked fine until she checked the box. And then as soon as she checked the box, it came up one of those dialog windows and said, "I'm sorry, you're not qualified for this position." And it kicked her out. This is a woman with lots of qualifications, but the only reason she was kicked out of that system was because she had to check the box. And that is not conducive to folks being able to get back on their feet, support themselves, and support their families. And remember, members, there are 1.5 million Coloradans that have criminal histories. 1.5 million Coloradans have criminal histories. Not just felonies, misdemeanors, DUIs, drug possessions from a long time ago. All of these people have to check the box in order to gain employment, to be able to support themselves and their families. This bill is a very narrowly crafted bill. It's a bill that is designed to make sure that they can get that economic opportunity. Now, I mentioned before that we are always interested in receiving feedback, and indeed we have made amendments and made corrections from the year before, and we made amendments during committee as well. We're going to ask for another amendment to be run that can tweak some language as well based on feedback that we had from the committee. So in that vein, I move L003 and ask for it to be displayed.
The amendment is properly before us. Please proceed.
Thank you, Madam Chair. L003 makes two changes. One, it changes the threshold for employers that are affected by this from 4 or more employees to 15 and more employees. And this really matches a lot of the other definitions that we see in our statutes. The 15 or more employees is a cutoff threshold for lots of different parts of our statutes, so it really conforms with that a lot better. And it also means that the feedback that we heard about extremely small operations having the burden to go through this won't be affected because they're exempted. As well, we wanted to make what we'll name the Representative Wist amendment based on his feedback in committee about one part of the bill, a quite technical amendment, but with his great experience in employment law, we decided that we should take that feedback and incorporate it into the bill. So we're making what I think is, and we think is a technical amendment, but it makes sense, so we're happy to offer that. And in that vein, we ask for an aye vote on L003.
Is there any further discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of L003 to the bill. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. L003 passes. Minority Leader Neville.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And members, as the Minority Leader, I wanted to start off this conversation by saying I really think Representative Melton's a great person, a nice person. We get along well. He's got a great sense of humor. The policy, however, I think is flawed. I think that this bill puts burdens on businesses. I think it also hurts. It could have the opportunity to actually hurt the actual person seeking a job. If the employer knows from the very get-go that they don't want to hire someone who has a criminal background, and they can't automatically weed that person out from the very start of the process, they're wasting both the employer and the person seeking employment's time. And then vice versa. Some employers I've actually spoken to like the fact that if people are honest from the very upfront and get-go, they actually consider that a good thing and would consider hiring someone based on that honesty. And so for those reasons, I urge a no vote.
Representative Leonard. Excuse me, Lundeen. I even wrote it down.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
So members, you have an opportunity this morning to watch a debate of the Walking Dead. Walking Dead. Let me spit that out, and I'm exhibiting for you exactly what that means right now. Members, you have the opportunity to watch the Walking Dead debate. Members of the Judiciary Committee who are largely engaging on this issue right now are all operating on 2 or 3 hours of sleep, and it might in fact be apparent in the debate that we have. I rise in opposition to this bill. Like so many of the issues that we deal with in this chamber, it's really a question of sovereignty. Who has responsibility and rights for those responsibility over a particular issue? This chamber could, by force of government coercion, say every small, single or two-member law practice practicing in the Denver metropolitan area should be required to have 2 or 3 paralegals for every principal of the firm. And that would obviously be arbitrary, it would be capricious, but it could in fact be law that tells a small law firm how they have to operate. Well, essentially that's what we heard from the individuals who testified on this. They said this is a burden on small businesses. It will tell small businesses partially and meaningfully how they have to operate, drives the sort of changes that they make. Now, I believe that in fact, for my operations, I would not have an objection to, in fact, banning the box from the employment applications. But that's my personal choice as a business owner, and I should have a right to do that. In fact, it came up in testimony that there's a very large corporation driven by a couple of brothers who believe in liberty, who believe in capitalism, who believe in the American way, the Koch brothers. Koch Industries has chosen to ban the box. But the reality is they didn't do it because government coerced them into it. They did it because they chose to do it as something they saw best for their operations. And that's the dividing line on this particular debate. I think it's important that we allow people to have the sovereignty over those issues that they should, in fact, have sovereignty over. So I would encourage you to oppose this. Let me speak to one other issue that was brought up. It was acknowledged that the state has chosen, as a matter of policy, to not, in fact, have a box on the application. Well, that's appropriate. This is the board of directors of that particular operation, and if we so choose to do that, it's completely appropriate for us to do it. But it is inappropriate, in my mind, for us to coercively tell small business owners to do something that they believe may or may not be beneficial to their business. I urge your opposition to this bill.
Is there any, Representative Herod?
Thank you, Madam Chair. It is an honor to serve with you.
And it is an honor to serve with you as well.
Thank you. Members, I do rise in support of this bill. I want to make a statement that in the past I have not been happy with the ban the box bills. I've actually not been 100% supportive, but I was on obviously the other side of the glass then. But what I found interesting this year and this particular bill is that there has been considerable work done with the business community to ensure that this bill would be effective and would not harm the business community in their actions. Members, I want to make a quick statement that I think that this bill is an important bill for business. There was a recent EEOC guidance put out that actually said that it could be a crime, could be illegal for employers to use criminal history as a sole reason of disqualifying employers. I can read from the summary. It says, an employer's use of an individual's criminal history in making employment decisions may in some instances violate the prohibition against employment discrimination of the Civil Rights Act as amended. Members, this is very clear. This is not an individual decision of a business owner. The EEOC has put out guidance that this is in fact could be illegal and a violation of the Civil Rights Act of 1964. We know that our justice system disproportionately impacts people of color. We know that when we have that box that we are also disproportionately impacting people of color. To use this box as an automatic disqualifier is not okay and is against federal EEOC guidelines. And so, members, I submit to you that if we don't pass this ban the box bill, we are actually putting employers at risk. We are putting Colorado employers at risk of lawsuit from individuals who feel like they have been discriminated against and that the businesses, employers have not been following the EEOC guidance. With that in mind, I think we have to do what's right for individuals and also what's right for business and vote yes on this bill. Thank you.
Representative Benavides.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And members, I also rise in support of this bill. We heard a lot of testimony, and I will tell you, I've been to a lot of committee meetings this year, but this was the most inspiring committee meeting that I've attended in the whole year. Listening to some of these individuals come and talk to us about this bill and how it could have an impact on their lives. We had one gentleman who works as an executive with a nonprofit, talked about his being serving time in prison 38 years ago. He left prison and he couldn't find a job, but a family member knew someone that gave him a job, which put him on the road for a stellar career as a firefighter, working nationally. I think it was with Homeland Security. He eventually retired and then still wanted to continue to give back to his community. There were stories, I think someone also mentioned the woman who applied 42 times for jobs when she got out of prison, to be completely ignored till one person, a hotel in downtown Denver, said, you know, I'm going to take a chance. I'm going to talk to this woman. And this business saw the opportunity of hiring this woman, and they did that. And she's on her way to a very, I'm sure, successful career there. It was that kind of testimony that made me look at this not as a restriction or a problem for employers, as some of our colleagues have mentioned. But I know when this came up last year, I have a brother who has a business, and he didn't like this bill because he employs people at the airport, construction workers. And if you work at the airport, you're under the federal TSA and you cannot work there if you're a felon. So there is an exception in the bill for those types of employers. So I think this bill and the sponsors went a long way to accommodate all interests. And I'm just going to leave you with this, because as I listened to all of these inspiring stories, it reminded me of something that Lalo Delgado, who was the first poet laureate for the city of Denver, he has a poem, and it was about education and for children. And he said, when you don't educate children, and in this case, when we don't give people an opportunity to work, he said, you may be missing out on that individual who has 1,000 masterpieces, but hanging only in their mind because we haven't opened the door for them. And this bill opens the door for a lot of people. So I hope you would support it. Thank you.
Representative West.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I have to say that the pressure is on. I've never had an amendment named after me. I'm not sure if I gave permission to have the amendment named after me, but I'll accept the honor nonetheless. So thank you very much for that, Representative Foote. Members, I do want to give some credit here to the sponsors of this bill, because I think they have crafted this in a way that's narrow and effectively gets to the issue. And that is whether or not an employer should have the ability to ask the question. While I personally believe and have given the advice many times as an employment defense lawyer that employers should not ask about criminal history at the application stage, I think Representative Lundeen stated it very well, that we should allow employers the freedom to make this decision without government interference. With that said, there is federal guidance, very detailed federal guidance, that is available to employers to make these decisions today. So the question is, does this bill clarify the issue for employers, or does it instead inject confusion into this environment? It was said in committee that this is a deceptively simple bill. I will tell you that nothing in employment law is deceptively simple. Our employers are required to make judgment calls on a daily basis about issues just like this. What questions to put in employment applications, what questions to ask in interviews. And I think employers, on the large part, do an extremely good job in terms of navigating this environment. The question for us members is, do we want to put another thing on their to-do list in terms of going through the hiring process? So while I appreciate the narrow, strategic, and if you will, surgical approach to the issue by the sponsors, on balance, I still think that we leave this issue up to the good judgment of our employers, who for the most part, I think, are addressing this in an effective way every day without our additional input. Again, federal guidance exists. Let's allow that federal guidance to continue to work, and I ask for a no vote on the bill.
Representative Weissman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, I think everyone has heard in some fashion by now that your colleagues on Judiciary were here until about 3 o'clock in the morning last night. And the reason for that is that last night and many other nights, we hear some really heavy issues in the Judiciary Committee about the Division of Youth Corrections, about record sealing and juvenile record expungement, about community justice reinvestment, about a variety of ways in which the power of the state over its citizens is at its maximum in the criminal justice system. And when we heard this bill in Judiciary last week, that was one of those nights, one of those topics. It's some of the heaviest testimony I think any of us have heard this session. We know, or at least I hope we know, that there are profound racial disparities throughout the criminal justice system, throughout stops, arrests, charges, convictions. The box perpetuates those disparities. This bill is a very measured approach to curtail that perpetuation. Also last week, when we heard this bill in Judiciary, happened to be in the middle of the Jewish holiday of Passover. And if I had to sum up the story and the essence of the holiday of Passover, I would say it's about three things. It's about Exodus, followed by bitterness, followed by the hope for return. And as we were hearing this bill, it occurred to me that that pretty well sums up what it is to do time and then to try to come out and recover from that. The exodus of being sent away and being incarcerated, and the bitterness of those colorless cells that we heard about earlier this morning. And when you finally get out, the hope for return to your family, to your friends, to your life, to society. The box gets in the way of that return. Please support this bill.
Representative Weissman, I think you've just written a new Haggadah. Representative McKean.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Could you spell Haggadah, please?
H-A-G-G-A-D-A-H. Representative McKean.
I rise in opposition to this, and I'll tell you why. I run a small business. I run a small business in which I have individuals that are in my employ that go into the homes of other people. And I will tell you that this information has never been a barrier to me hiring someone. It begins a conversation. Begins a conversation about what is it exactly that happened. It lets an employee or a prospective employee put that down in their own words. It lets them tell me in their terms what it is that they would like me to know. And then it allows me to ask an ongoing question. I grew up farming. You guys have heard that. I know that Representative Catlin will understand this. The best disinfectant in the world is fresh air and sunshine. And this is fresh air and sunshine. When you check this box, when you have the opportunity to begin that conversation long before a background check comes back and you have to explain what that background check says, it begins a conversation that will be familiar to every person in here who's ever had a security clearance, every person in here who has ever gone through several stages of employment screening, where most people already know information about you. The best thing to do is just pull the covers back and say, here it is, here's what happened, here's where we go from here. What this has to do with is trust. And I'm a little distressed that what we're really talking about here is that we don't trust employers to have that conversation. I do. And yet I see a lot of people's heads nodding or shaking over here that, no, we don't. We don't trust employers to do that. And I think that's a little shameful, because what we're really trying to do here is say, you know what? We all have different pieces of baggage that come with us in everything we do. But at least let's have the honest conversation about it and let me decide how it is that I go about providing a service to my customers, whose homes my employees will be in, whose lives my employees will intersect. And I get a choice about how that works out long before a background check comes back, and then we have to have the hard discussion about, all right, why didn't I know this first? This is a simple box, it's a simple problem, and it does not need this kind of a correction. I would vote no.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I have to say that this is such a much more calmer discussion about this bill than years past. But I think, yeah, half of us are operating off of 2 hours of sleep. You're right. It is a simple box. And it is a small box that seems like it's nothing. But that simple box has huge implications. It literally can keep someone from getting their foot in the door. I keep hearing this argument that a conversation can't be had. In fact, I remember saying that last year. But a conversation can be had in this bill, members. Members, if you are interested, in fact, we even heard from NFIB, many of their small businesses accept an application and do an interview right then and there. They get the application in their hands, they say, do you have 5 minutes? They bring them into their office, and they have the interview right there. At the interview, you can ask the question, have you ever committed a crime, or have you ever been arrested, or whatnot? Whatever that box that you would have on the application does, you can ask that question. So the conversation can be had. But what's better about the way we're doing it here, as opposed to that simple box, is that simple box doesn't allow for a back and forth. It's a one-way direction. It's a one-way conversation. It's, have you ever committed a crime? You have these lines to explain it, and that's it. But if you're in that interview process, you can ask, well, what were the situation, and have you rehabilitated, and what did that teach you? So the conversation can be had. When it came down to it, members, when we continued to hear NFIB testify in committee, because I asked the question, how much more difficult is this going to make it for businesses to hire people? They basically said it wasn't. But they said it was their preference, and they didn't want the state telling them what to do. Well, members, we literally run laws and resolutions to try to better communities, better lives, rehabilitate people. And as a state, we do need to step in and help employees and help applicants find employment. And I believe that this actually helps employers too, because it opens up a job pool that they would not have necessarily paid attention to. Members, this is a fallacy when we hear that conversations can't be had, and that this actually hampers and doesn't allow the ability for an employer to truly vet someone. This bill completely allows someone to vet an applicant, and in ways that last year's bill didn't, because it allows even for a background check to be done at any time during the process as well. So with that, members, I ask for your thoughtful consideration and an aye vote.
Representative Thurlow.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members. Thank you, Representatives Foote and Melton, for bringing the bill. I rise in opposition to the bill, and I don't want to repeat all the reasons that Representative McKean pointed out, but I've also hired a lot of people, and I think that's absolutely what the process is about. It's all about establishing a relationship of trust, and to have trust, it means you have to have an open relationship from the very beginning. The reason I wanted to come down here is because listening to Representative Melton's point, I think there's a very good point on the other side is when a person comes in and fills out the application, that is really the start of the conversation that takes place. You look at his educational background, and if he's graduated high school, you talk about some of the high school things, or if he played sports, you talk about what he did in sports and how that relates to his life and his outlook on life. Or if he went to college, you talk about what he studied in college. So that application starts the communication process and the trust process. If there's a box that says he has a criminal history, that's when you can start that conversation about the criminal history and start to get the information out and understand the background of what he did and how he did it. And it's, if you don't have that information on the application, if you don't have an educational background on the application, you don't know how or where to start the conversation about his education. If you don't have a work history, you don't know how to start that conversation. So that application is the beginning of the information about the applicant, and the more information you have, the better it is to establish a relationship of trust. The more things that come up later, the harder it is to establish a trusting relationship.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1305. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1305 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1252.
House Bill 1252 by Representative Janala Senator Hill concerning the collection of court costs from persons who are convicted of criminal offenses.
Representative Janal.
May I have 1 moment, please?
We're going to take a very brief recess. Representative Janal.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1252. There are no committee reports.
To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill is really a cleanup bill because of unintended consequences from a bill that was presented last year, House Bill 16-1378, which the intent of that bill was to allow for cost recovery of DUI test costs on behalf of law enforcement agencies which were not getting sufficient reimbursement from convicted defendants. The intent of the law was to require the courts to collect the costs on behalf of law enforcement agencies. And it was never the intent to limit the DA office or the Colorado State Patrol's ability to collect costs or prosecution in criminal cases. And so what this bill does is it clarifies that the collections that are made by a court for a person convicted of a criminal offense can be transferred to the prosecuting attorney or a law enforcement agency, including the Colorado State Patrol. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1252. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1252 passes. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over House Bill 1320 till the end of the second reading calendar.
House Bill 1320 will be laid over till the end of the second reading calendar. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1291.
House Bill 1291 by Representatives Art and Becker J. concerning the ability to store water in an alternate place of storage of the historical consumptive use of a water right has already been quantified in a previous charge of the water right.
Representative Arndt and Becker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1291 and the committee report.
To the committee report.
Thank you, members. This is an interesting bill. I'm sure you've read it and like it as much as we do. In the committee, we amended the bill. And I urge an aye vote on the committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the committee report? Seeing none, the question before. Is there something I'm missing? Seeing none?
You gotta wait. You're gonna allow it. Yeah.
What?
We gotta offer this now.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Okay.
Representative Arndt.
Madam Speaker, I'd like to move L005 now so that it be displayed.
The amendment is properly displayed and before you.
Thank you very much, members. This L005 was in consultation with a few groups, and what it does is it clarifies the language that at the decreed point of diversion, all other terms and conditions apply. And I urge an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on Amendment L005? Seeing none, going once, twice, three times. The question before us is the adoption of Amendment L005. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. L005 is adopted. To the committee report.
I urge an aye vote.
The question, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the committee report. All those in favor signify by saying aye. All those opposed, no. The committee report is passed. The ayes have it.
You said that.
To the bill.
Thank you very much, members. This is an interesting bill that actually trims down the water court cost by allowing us water from a decreed point of diversion to be moved along in the same ditch system and an alternative point of storage. Thank you, and I urge
Representative Becker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, great bill, allows for diversion at the decreed point of diversion, accounts for losses as you're moving the water, and does not negate any type of injury.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1291. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. House Bill 12, the ayes have it. House Bill 1291 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of House Bill 1300.
House Bill 1300 by Representative Benavides, concerning requirement of the contracts for public projects over $500,000 that are not funded using federal monies used apprentices for the part of the project that are performed by workers in an apprenticeable occupation.
Representative Benavides.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move House Bill 1300.
To the bill.
Thank you. This is a good bill. It helps promote the workforce initiatives that the state started on by requiring apprentices utilization on construction jobs. And I do have an amendment, Madam Chair, so I move Amendment L001. And this amendment...
L001 is properly moved and before us.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What this does, it allows for a good faith affidavit if someone's not able to meet the requirements of the bill, and it also encourages the general contractor to work with the subcontractor to ensure compliance. So I urge an aye vote on the amendment.
Representative Kraft-Tharp.
Members, I want to thank Representative Benavides for introducing this amendment. One of the concerns I had is that if you're going to have a requirement that a certain percentage of apprentices need to be involved in a project, you need to have some kind of process in case that's not able to happen. And so allowing the affidavit to demonstrate that good faith efforts were made, I think satisfies that. Thank you very much for working with me on my concern.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of Amendment L001. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Amendment L001 passes. Representative Benavides.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I think, I know we're running out of time and short on time, so I urge support of this bill, House Bill 1300. It's a good bill, and it'll help the state to address our dire shortage of construction workers.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Williams.
I'm sorry, give me a second.
Thank you, Madam Chair. While I do appreciate the attempt here to bolster apprenticeship programs throughout the state of Colorado as they're connected with some of the state projects that are bidded on here in Colorado, I do think that this is a bridge too far, so to speak. What this would do is it would impose an unnecessary mandate and additional cost onto these companies that do want to serve our state and bid on these projects. And really, if anyone has been in business, you know that when costs increase, that's usually passed on to the consumer. In this case, the consumer is the taxpayer. And so even though we're putting these additional burdens on the companies that are going to service Colorado, it's going to just end up being passed on to the taxpayers, which will, in effect, increase costs and, in effect, also waste taxpayer dollars further than they need to be. And so I would simply ask that we be aware of that, and I would urge that my fellow members here today would vote no on this bill because of that. Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Benavides.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative, for your concerns. But as you see, there was a zero fiscal note on this bill. This was looked at by the departments, and they did not see that it would be an increase in cost for these projects. There are over 123 apprentice programs in the state that are registered apprentice programs. That was in response to 2015 legislation to encourage these apprentice programs because, as I mentioned, within the next 7 to 10 years, we are going to need 30,000 skilled construction workers in this state. And if we don't start training them, we're going to be in a world of hurt in a couple of years. So I really urge a yes vote. Thank you.
Representative Williams.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I appreciate the comments from Representative Benavides. I would also point out that I did went ahead and speak with individuals and business members that would be bidding on these projects. And they did kind of clue me into sort of the ways that they get around it. And this is sort of a case study on how businesses and the free market are able to get around some of these needless regulations and requirements. One instance is that there is a requirement for apprentices. 25% of the workforce on the project has to be apprentices. Well, in some instances, if the math is right, in fact, many of these companies may very well not fulfill that requirement and instead just pay the fine or sort of the penalty for not having that 25% workforce. So again, this really, in effect, in practicality, will not, I think, accomplish the stated goal because businesses will try to protect their bottom line, and there's only two ways to do that. You either cut costs or you increase your sales price. And so either way, we're not really going to be accomplishing, I think, what the intent of the bill is, and instead we're either going to be getting around these requirements in other ways, or ultimately the taxpayers are going to be, that cost of having 25% workforce be apprenticeship, that cost is going to be passed on to the taxpayers ultimately through that bidding process. And so again, I would urge a no vote on this.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Beckman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just like to point out that any of the fiscal notes that we have in our packets of bills only talk about the expense to state government. And I think it's a huge gap that we have in the system. We never reflect the expense and what it is going to cost private sector or companies or the taxpayer. And so these fiscal notes are very, very narrow and don't reflect that. It may not cost the state anything, but it will end up costing private sector and be passed on to the citizens. So I just wanted to point out that the fiscal note is state expectations of what it's going to cost the state, but it isn't private sector. I wish it was different, but it's not.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of House Bill 1300. All those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. House Bill 1300 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 117.
Senate Bill 117 by Senator Cornwall, Representatives Catlin and Valdez, concerning confirmation that industrial hemp is a recognized agricultural product for which a person with water right decree for agricultural use may use the water right subject to the water right for industrial hemp cultivation.
Representative Catlin.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It's a pleasure to serve with you.
And it is a pleasure to serve with you too, sir.
Thank you. Madam Chair, I move Senate Bill 117 on second reading.
To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I want to say something quickly, and then the co-sponsor, Mr. Valdez, an individual that I've just got to know since the beginning of the session. I'm glad I know him. Good guy. This is an opportunity for us in the state of Colorado to say that the water in the state of Colorado should and could be used to grow hemp. Hemp has the potential to be a great producer of income and wealth and notoriety to the state of Colorado. Today's a good day for us to say yes, we want to raise hemp in the state of Colorado, and we want to use Colorado's water to do it. Thank you.
Representative Valdez.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This bill will level the playing field for all industrial hemp growers in the state of Colorado. To ensure that all farmers have the same water access, this bill confirms that a person with an absolute and conditional water right decreed for agriculture may use the water for growth or cultivation of industrial hemp.
Is there any further discussion?
I vote.
Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 117. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 117 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 268.
Senate Bill 268 by Senator Smallwood and Curl, also Representatives Ransom and Janal, concerning an increase in the number of pharmacy technicians a pharmacist may supervise.
Representative Ransom.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 268.
To the bill.
Thank you. This bill is to modernize the pharmacy technician ratios in Colorado. Currently, pharmacists can supervise up to 3 technicians, but with the way pharmacies work these days, with the way pharmacists are trained and the additional responsibilities that they have and can perform, this bill would give them the ability to have up to 6. So the ratio, instead of 3-to-1, would now be 6-to-1 if the bill passes. This would give flexibility to meet the demands of today's pharmacy patient population. It ensures that the majority of pharmacy techs on duty have either certification or practical experience, which is an improvement from the previous 1 out of 3 in current statute, and it requires pharmacy techs to have certification or practical experience within a certain time frame from the date of hire.
Representative Janal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And pharmacists are a very integral part of a medical provider or a collaborative team of medical providers. And just last year, we expanded the scope of practice for pharmacists to be able to counsel patients and to talk to them and prescribe birth control pills, give vaccines, and other scope, increasing their scope of practice. They are true professionals, and just being in the pharmacy is kind of minimizing. So increasing that scope of practice and giving them a higher level of service to patients, to especially in communities where pharmacists play an important role in the health care of an individual. This bill allows, it's an opt-in. It's not saying you have to have a 1-to-6 ratio. It's just the maximum that you can have of pharmacy techs at 6-to-1 pharmacist. And because they do provide other types of health care now, aside from just filling prescriptions, it's important that some of the pharmacies are that are recognized, and that we support this bill. It's very important to have that 1-to-6 ratio. And I ask for an aye vote.
Representative Ransom.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The bill has already passed the Senate with 33 aye votes. It came out of our Health Committee unanimously with a vote of 11-0. I urge an aye vote as well.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 268. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 268 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 27.
Senate Bill 27 by Senator Courthouse, Representative Melton, concerning an increase in the penalty for text messaging while operating a motor vehicle.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 27. There are no committee reports. I ask for an aye vote.
To the bill, all those in the question before, is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 27. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 27 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 215.
Senate Bill 215 by Senator Priolas, Representative Gray, concerning the continuation of the Sunset Law of the Division of Real Estate and in connection therewith implementing the recommendations contained in the Sunset Report by the Department of Regulatory Agencies.
Representative Gray.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 215 and the Business Committee report.
To the Business Committee report.
And thank you, Madam Chair. In the Business Committee, we created, finally, brothers and sisters, a definition for what constitutes a standard form legal document, and it was added in the Business Committee. I would ask for your support for the committee report.
Is there any further discussion on the Business Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Business Committee report. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Business Committee report is passed. To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have real estate agents, we have subdivision developers. They are regulated. Now they'll be regulated better. Please vote yes.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 215. All those in favor, aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. 215 passes. Senate Bill 215 passes. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 218. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over Senate Bill 18 to the end of the second reading calendar.
Madam Majority Leader.
I also move to lay over Senate Bill 244 till the end of the second reading calendar.
Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 132.
Senate Bill 132 by Senator Gardner, House Representatives Wist and Melton, concerning enactment of the revised Uniform Law and Notarial Acts as amended.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 132 and the State Affairs Committee report.
To the committee report.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In the committee, we took out an amendment that was added in the Senate that dealt with remote notaries. While we, I believe we both, but I personally think that remote notaries are an important thing and should move forward. We were finding that having them in the same bill with this was becoming problematic, and so we took that out, and we will deal with that issue in a different piece of legislation. I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion on the State Affairs Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the State Affairs Committee report. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The State Affairs Committee report passes. To the bill. Oh, Madam Majority.
We're still in the bill.
Representative Wist.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members, this is an important bill because it's updating and modernizing the 1982 Uniform Law and Notarial Acts. And this bill is brought forward and was endorsed by the Commission on Uniform Laws. There are a number of things that our notaries are telling us that they need in terms of updating this 1982 law. This does certainly do some important things to modernize that law, but as Representative Melton said, we anticipate a robust discussion about moving our notaries' laws into the next century and having a discussion about remote notarization and making the notarization process consumer-friendly. So I ask for your support of Senate Bill 132.
Representative Van Winkle.
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. And Representative Wist is right. This is a very important bill. Such an important bill that a group of Girl Scouts from Highlands Ranch, Colorado decided to join us here in the House. Thank you for coming to join us here in the House and to think seriously about this very important bill.
Representative Pabon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I recognize that Representatives Wist and Melton did the best they could in the environment of keeping the status quo in Colorado. And when you try to keep the status quo, it can only be for so long because entrepreneurialism, technology, those things advance, and there's nothing you can do to hold them back. So I really look forward to that conversation about notaries in the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, maybe 25th century and beyond, so that we can update all of our laws to reflect the economy, to reflect the technology that we share today. Thank you, Representatives Wist and Melton, for starting that conversation. I hope to join you on the other side when we finish it.
Representative Melton.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And Representative Pabon, I appreciate your words, and I actually could not agree more. The way I put it in committee was, I love both my parents equally. I love my mom and I love my dad, but I would hate for them to be in the same car together, and that's the reason why we took this out of this bill. I love both issues, but they were problematic together. Ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 132. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 132 passes. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to, are we at 1320? I move to lay over House Bill 1320 till Monday, April 24th.
House Bill 1320 will be laid over till Monday as directed by the Majority Leader. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move to lay over Senate Bill 218 till Monday, April 24th.
Senate Bill 218 will be laid over till Monday as directed by the Majority Leader. Mr. Randall, please read the title of Senate Bill 244.
Senate Bill 244 by Senator Priola, Representative Gray, concerning retail food establishment license fees.
Representative Gray.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move Senate Bill 244 in the Business Committee report.
To the committee report.
In committee, we made a very important amendment to this bill that was crucial for public policy, and one of my colleagues, don't come down and talk about it. It made one of my colleagues very, very happy, and I like making my colleagues happy, and therefore I would ask for an aye vote on the committee report.
Representative Kraftharp.
Thank you. So Representative Gray heard my concerns, introduced an amendment. I am happy. Thank you, Representative Gray.
Is there any further discussion on the Business Committee report? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of the Business Committee report. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. The Business Committee report is passed. To the bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Last year, we did some work to adjust the fees that are used to pay for health inspections by counties of restaurants. There were a couple technical cleanups that we needed to make, and we did, and I'd ask for your support and an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is Representative Beckman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On behalf of counties, I'm up here supporting House Bill 277, Senate Bill 244. This bill gives a lot of flexibilities to counties. We all know that protecting the public from foodborne illness will always be a paramount in the eyes of county commissioners. They do a great job across the state of Colorado administering this food inspection program, and I ask for an aye vote.
Is there any further discussion? Representative Van Winkle.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also ask for an aye vote. This will lower fees.
Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, the question before us is the passage of Senate Bill 244. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. The ayes have it. Senate Bill 244 passes. Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I move that we rise and report.
You have heard the motion. Seeing no objection, the committee will rise and report.
The House will come back to order. Thank you for your patience. Representative Michelson Janae. Oh, I'm sorry. Mr. Randall, please read the report of the Committee of the Whole.
Madam Speaker, Pro Tem, your Committee of the Whole begs leave to report as under consideration following testimonies being the second reading thereof and makes following recommendations thereon. House Bill 1252, House Bill 1260 is amended, House Bill 1279 is amended, House Bill 1291 is amended, House Bill 1292 is amended, House Bill 1300 is amended, House Bill 1305 is amended, House Bill 1310 is amended, House Bill 1330 is amended, House Bill 1332, House Bill 1337 passes second reading and goes placed in the calendar for third reading and final passage. Senate Bill 27, Senate Bill 117, Senate Bill 132 is amended, Senate Bill 215 is amended, Senate Bill 244 is amended, Senate Bill 268 passes second reading and revised, placed in the calendar for third reading and final passage. House Bill 1320, Senate Bill 218 laid over until April 24, 2017, retaining their place in the calendar. House Bill 1340 laid over until April 24, 2017, retaining its place in the calendar.
Thank you. Representative Michelson Janae. You have heard the motion, and there are no amendments. The question before the House is the adoption of the report of the Committee of the Whole. Mr. Randall, please open the machine and members proceed to vote. Representative Sias. Representative Navarro. Representative Humphrey. Representative Sias. Closed machine. With 56 ayes, 4 noes, 5 excused, the report of the Committee of the Whole is adopted. Announcements and introductions.
Well, I was just going to lay over the ballot.
While you're getting ready, Madam Majority Leader?
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I move to lay over the balance of the calendar till Monday, April 24th.
Seeing no objection, the balance of the calendar will be laid over at the Majority Leader's request. Representative Lewis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I ask for permission to be gone Monday for all-day meetings.
Excused. Representative Singer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Public Health and Human Services, looking forward to seeing you on one bill for action only, House Bill 1139. We will be starting at 12:22 p.m. sharp. And mental illness in the criminal justice system, we'll see you at 1:30 in Senate Committee Room 352. But Public Health and Human Services, 12:22 p.m. sharp. We'll see you there.
Thank you, Representative Singer. And for Public Health and Human Services, for today only, Representative Thurlow will be subbing in for Representative Catlin. Announcements and introductions. Representative Wilson.
Did she just call me Senator? Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. If you're wanting me to pick up hot dogs, I've got a list here of about 8 people. If you want to be added to the list, let me know before I get out of here. Thank you.
Representative Esgar.
Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. Members who do not live in Denver like me and pack on the weekends for the rest of the week, pack a pair of jeans. We may have a jeans day next week. We'll tell you more about it coming up.
Madam Majority Leader.
Any more? Thank you, Madam Speaker Pro Tem. I move that the House stand in recess till 12:30 today.
Seeing no objection, the House will stand in recess till 12:30 today.